What we're seeing is a complete change in why we ask people to come to Canada. This is a group of workers who are working among us doing important jobs at every level of society, but who will have to leave when their employer no longer wants them.
We thought we would get arms and hands, and actually we got people.
More of the temporary foreign workers are living in Vancouver than any other location in BC, but we don't know exactly where.
The low-skilled workers, they're the ones who tend to be very vulnerable because they're the ones who tend to be not as highly educated, sometimes language is an issue, and they clearly feel the power imbalance. They know that if they do something, they could lose their job.
$8 an hour is not worth it. And $8 an hour is not worth missing your family.
The numbers of temporary foreign workers in Canada are rising. There are more workers entering Canada today than there are immigrants and refugees. In 2009 alone, nearly 40,000 temporary workers arrived in Metro Vancouver. While these temporary residents are here as workers, they are people with needs and lives beyond the workplace.
Well, temporary foreign workers are people who migrate to another country to work, but they cannot stay in the long term. Usually, most of the time, they need a job contract before they enter the country. And the regulation, depending on the country, imposes a maximum length of time that they can stay. After that, they have to go back home.
Nearly 90% of temporary workers enter the program with the goal of eventually applying for permanent residency. Temporary workers can pay similar taxes as citizens and immigrants, but don't actually have the same benefits and rights. They can find themselves in vulnerable situations. But with the promise of a better life in Canada, it is a sacrifice that many are willing to make.
Since I'm a single parent, I just want the best for my son. I have an aunt here, and when they come for a visit, they were like, oh, they're in Canada. All you have to do is work. As long as you have a full-time job, you can afford this, you can afford that, you can have your own car. Like, you know, and if you're really a hardworking person, you could even get your own house. Like, and I want that.
I'm originally from the Philippines. I came here exactly 1 year and 9 months yesterday. Everybody's looking for greener pasture back home. I only have 3 countries as preference, the US, Canada, and Australia. And then Canada came in first because at least in here or in the US, at least there is a chance for you to become an immigrant someday. I graduated from with a degree in hotel and restaurant management, and then I was thinking I have to be ready for this. If I really want to come here, then I must forget about titles and positions. You have to humble yourself and be ready because this is Canada. I have to go out of my box. I have to be ready again because this is a new life.
Many workers don't complain because they need the money and hope to eventually become citizens in Canada.
This is how they do things around here. They cannot really recognize whether you have this master's degree or a doctorate degree. You still have to upgrade yourself, so to speak. Don't expect to be living like thinking that it'll be heaven on day one, okay, because it is not.
In most cases, workers are tied to one specific employer when they enter the country. This can complicate reporting workplace abuse as well as job mobility.
Last year, it must have been around June or July last year, he basically told me, he said, I don't have any more work for you right now. And back then he was like, yeah, there's nothing, but I also can't really afford to keep you at the office. If something like that happened, I can't really sort of do something about it. Like I'm stuck with them. I can't really go and get a job somewhere else.
While the program is directed by the federal government, it is the city that shapes their day-to-day lives. Most workers enter the country knowing only their workplace, so their knowledge of the city and its available resources is limited.
It was my aunt who sponsored me so I'm working for her. Do their laundry, clean their house, run errands for them, take care of their 8-year-old son. She talked to me and she said, like, honestly, I can't really pay you your wage. As everybody knows, our wage is like $8 per hour. How can you not pay that? I'm like, well, if you cannot pay me, will you give me the permission to look for a new employer who would pay me that amount? She told me, it's either you stay here with us or I'm going to deport you. They took my phone away from me. I'm not allowed to get out of the house, not unless, one of them is with me. I'm not allowed to answer the phone. I'm not allowed on the computer. They don't even leave me alone in the house. I even need to ask permission from them to talk to my mom online. I'm an adult. I should be able to do what I want.
The daily cost of living in Vancouver can make their experiences even more challenging. To complicate matters, some individuals arrive with an accumulated debt when they spend their life savings to pay for the transition to Canada.
They gave us the papers, what to do, what to expect, what to pay. Our employer is supposed to pay for this and that, but it's not really happening. I would not say 100% that I know my rights in here. I don't have the liberty of time to study it for myself because I'm also preoccupied with a lot of other things.
Depending on their high or low skilled work status, workers can have clearly different experiences living and working in Vancouver. Money can also determine their access to knowledge.
My boss now, he was like, okay, well, when can you start working? Back then, though, I had no clue of what it really took to get a work permit. And I mean, I tried. The first time when I applied for my work permit, I did it all on my own, and it was crazy. My work permit got rejected. I got a letter in the mail saying you have to get out of here. The letter said something like, from this point on, you're illegal in Canada. You have to leave immediately or something like that. Just one day, just like that, get out of here. To be honest, it was hard because like I have a life here. Like I had a place. I had my stuff, furniture, friends, everything. I had a lease. If I wasn't lucky enough to be able to afford paying a consultant, I don't know what I would do. Like I would probably be home now. I'd probably still be back in Mexico. I wouldn't have gotten my first work permit. And I can even imagine permanent residency. That's like something else.
Generally speaking, they can bring their family, but their family cannot necessarily work. Their partner cannot necessarily work. They have to apply separately for a permit. The seasonal workers cannot bring their family. The living caregivers cannot bring their family, but the others can. They are subjected to all the same obligation in terms of taxes, unemployment insurance. They have to pay for unemployment insurance. They have to pay for CPP.
Well, yesterday is his birthday. And that's his fourth birthday that I missed. And he kept telling me, Mom, are you gonna be here for my birthday later? Are you coming? When am I gonna be with you? How long more do I have to wait? Like, I don't know how to answer those questions anymore. That's hard. And I'm missing a lot from him. Like, his first steps, his first haircut. Like, I should be the one doing that for him, but apparently I'm stuck here. If things would have been better, then he would probably be here now with me, and I'm celebrating his 4th birthday with him, but no. And I don't know how long I have to deal with that. I don't know how long more do we have to wait. It's been 3 years that we're waiting, and they can't even give me a span of time. Like, we don't know what's going on. And so we went to the MP here and asked for his help, and apparently nothing happened.
I pay for my own medical services, right? The MSP. Oh, I remember in my contract, the company would be is supposed to be shouldering my medical it didn't happen. So I have to pay my own MSP.
As well as the healthcare issue, that's a big one. Because we're paying for it at the end of the day, we're paying for it. I don't really know why, and I haven't really done a lot of research, but I don't really know or understand why, if we are paying for that, we're not getting it.
If they were well run, I wouldn't have to be in this situation. And the wage, like a full-time caregiver is working for, $8 an hour is not worth it.
Some help from the government for some housing, that would be great.
If the city helped you or made it a little bit easier for people to be sort of relocated in another company, because I know that like if I switched my permit, if I got another job somewhere else, I switched my permit, that's like another month or two of waiting, and I can really start working somewhere else if I don't have my permit. And if something like that happened, that would be helpful.
I hope immigration would look after the workers that come here and make sure that they are respected and their rights are not being violated, and that they are paid for what their work is worth. And if they're working more, they deserve more, not $8 per hour. If they could, even do counseling for them, just because I'm sure most caregivers that come here are mothers, they're homesick. So it's hard to deal with it. So I just hope they do something for them. Who knows, maybe by 5 years, I have my mom and my sisters here, like sharing the good life that most people have here.
I hope that this program will be able to continue to help a lot of other, not just Filipinos, but also other foreign workers to come to Canada to make it truly a multicultural country. I don't know, again, what kind of program the country is planning to create for people like us. But definitely I hope we'll be recognized also as a silent voice or as a silent minority here, helping somehow in our own little way for a better Canada someday.